Hello and welcome to our 23rd episode of Conversation to Connect. Let's Get Real Talk, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm CyndiONeill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. At Exceptional Connections, we offer intentional and innovative solutions to boost your business. Each week, I nominate a different member of our community to be able to have a meaningful conversation with. So be sure to make yourself comfortable with a cup of tea or a beverage of your choice. Take notes and be sure to just mute yourself, and we're going to unmute at the 45-minute mark. So you'll have an opportunity to engage in our intriguing conversation, to share your epiphanies and your ahas and be a part of it. So the inspiration of our bi-weekly Conversations to Connect, Let's Get Real talks is to create purposeful conversations. We desire to be relevant during these challenging and uncertain times, and to be able to support our community to make an impact in the world and stay connected. More than important, more than ever, right? So as we get started, I invite you to set aside any distractions and invest your attention in the conversation that's about to unfold. Look for just one idea that you can take away and implement immediately into your business so that you don't cheat yourself of the time that we've invested here. So our conversation to connect this week is with the amazing Rose Harrow from Kirkland, Washington. Welcome, Rose.
Thank you, Cyndi. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, what a treat. I just adore you. And our topic, our listeners are in for a treat. Our topic today is authentic marketing from the heart. Create a profitable, heart-centered business without selling your soul. Mm-hmm. So it's my pleasure to introduce Rose to you this afternoon. Rose is a certified master business coach working internationally with ChangeMakers, people who make a difference, make a positive difference in the world. She helps her clients double their income while they contribute to a better world. Working with ChangeMakers from 4 continents, Rose shows them how to create profitable, heart-centered businesses without selling their souls. Her core program, Authentic Marketing from the Heart, combines a new paradigm of marketing with her holistic approach to business. She shows her clients how to make a better living while making a positive difference. With 30 years of intensive experience in brain science, professional coaching, and business development, she's coached hundreds of heart-based change makers to attract more clients and help more people. So Rose, before we dive in here, share with us a little bit about your passion for being a change maker and also for catalyzing other change makers too.
Well, thanks, Cyndi. I did the brain rewiring work for a couple of decades and really loved it. And I was getting all my clients by word of mouth, and it was working great for me until I guess you could say that I became a business coach by accident. It was actually a car accident. And while I was recovering, yeah, a lot of times people say that their life got changed by some big event, and it was absolutely true for me. While recovering from the car accident, I realized that in addition to my physical healing, I needed to do some financial healing because it wiped me out. The big medical bills wiped me out financially and left me with a huge debt, even after I had cashed in my savings, my IRA, my insurance, cashed in everything. And I just realized I really need to change something that I'm doing here because I realized I didn't know how to market. I had never had to market. And so, of course, I was repelled by the old style sales and marketing. And I searched and finally found some amazing coaches and mentors to train with. And I became kind of, over time, I just found myself loving the learning and learning more and more. And I became a certified master business coach. So very big surprise in my life, big change of direction. And as I went on with that, I realized that the people I wanted to work with are the change makers, the people who are making a difference, and they've got their heart in the game, they've got the vision, and they may not know really how to run a business. And so sometimes it's a matter of how do they stay in business so they can keep doing their good work.
I love your story because it just shows how difficult things that we go through, they can either, like they say, they can, hurt us or they can help us, right? They can make us stronger. And so in your case, it's definitely made you stronger and have you had a compassion for others and what they're going through as well.
And I've got to just say, in the middle of that, laying in bed in pain, I remember thinking like, must be some big blessings going to come out of this.
That's
This
right.
is really hard right now. So yeah, just I like what you said there.
Blessings in the midst of challenging times.
Mhm.
So, okay, so you had a shift in your trajectory due to the accident that you had that has really put you in a place that my understanding is that your heart is happy, right?
Mhm.
It's a place where you've evolved and also a place where you can be of service to others.
Yes, very much so, very much so. And I never get up in the morning and wonder if I'm going to be interested in what I'm the work to do that day. I always get up like, oh man, I get to do this again. I love it, and um, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to work with such beautiful, amazing people who are doing good work in the world and are making a difference. And I feel like if I can lift them up a little bit, if I can give them some steps and some structure that helps them do more good more quickly, sooner, so they can actually stay in business, it just gladdens my heart.
Beautiful. So I know being a change maker is near and dear to your heart. So as we get going with this conversation, I think it's important for to just clarify that. So what is a change maker, Rose?
So I define it kind of broadly, and a lot of times people identify themselves as change makers. That they will say things like, "I don't want to run a business. I just want to be with my clients." That's the part I love. And some of my clients are healers of different kinds, acupuncturists or herbalists or medical doctors, and chiropractic kind of runs the gamut. But some of my clients are also corporate managers, people with a lot of corporate responsibility, and they want to make the world and the corporation a better place. They're not just there because of the money or because it's a job. They really want to use their position, their influence, to really make a difference in the world and help the corporation make choices that are going to make a positive difference.
Hmm. And they so they're professional people that want to basically change the trajectory for others as well, right?
They have a bigger vision, and they are coming from their hearts. They're not just putting in time. It's not just a job for them. It's a mission. It's a life purpose and a calling. And when you get your life purpose clarified and lined up with your work, you've really got something powerful there. So yeah, some of them are doing. I'll give a quick story, an example of one of my clients who is a corporate, like a middle level manager in a huge corporation that you would know by name. And the corporation was purchased by somebody else. And they decided, the new owners came in and changed lots of things, which weren't really great decisions. And people were leaving their jobs by the dozens. And she supervised a team of about a dozen people. And she liked her job. She needed her job. She's supporting her family, and she liked her team. And so we strategized like, okay, so how can we make your unit still life supporting? So it's a good place for these people to work, and you're working together well as a team, and they stay, that they don't bail. And we did it. We worked it out, and her team is so solid now. They'll do anything for her. They work together so well, and they love her. So nobody knows. Nobody would think of her as a change maker, except she is.
Mm,
And sometimes it's not obvious. If somebody's a healer or a chiropractor or herbalist or whatever,
right.
it's easier to imagine that they're a change maker. But some of the people in those jobs are doing it as a job because plan A didn't work and this is plan B. But people who really have it in their hearts to make a difference and to treat everybody with respect, and it just elevates the whole situation.
It
But
does. It makes all the difference in the world. And it actually brings me to my second point to, to really share. So your topic is authentic marketing from the heart and creating a profitable heart-centered business without selling your soul.
mhm,
So that's my question for you. Does marketing your business require selling your soul? Because I know there's a lot of people that are motivated by other things. They're motivated by making a difference in the world.
mhm.
We all need to pay our bills, right? We all need to support ourselves and be good citizens and take care of our families, but we don't have to do it at the expense of selling our souls, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, if you sell your soul, your business isn't really going to work either. Eventually, it'll catch up with you. Why this misconception came to be was because of what I call old style marketing, where people didn't know anything else to do, and there was it was like salesy, pushy marketing, and which is pretty obnoxious, and it turns everybody off. And so what happens is when somebody is a change maker and they want to make a positive difference, that's the last thing they're going to want to do is be pushy or salesy. And so most people solve that issue by not marketing at all, which doesn't work either. So, but we all grew up with examples of pushy marketing, and people don't feel like themselves. They think they should, be more aggressive or something. You have to be aggressive. No, you don't, and you won't feel like yourself when you do that, and you won't want to keep doing it. You do not abandon your honesty or your values. You don't trick anybody. Your good marketing, healthy, what I call new style marketing, is the give. It's the give continues. It's not different than the way that you are when you're actually providing service to your clients. It's a continuation. It's part of the service. And people can say yes or no, but it's just like given with an open hand.
Yes. And that's the operative word, authentic, right? Because people, especially nowadays, they value authenticity more than anything else. It's
Mhm.
not about being coif or perfect, it's about being real.
Yes, and people can feel it. People can feel it, and they may not tell you like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to do business with you because you're pushy," and I'm turned off
Right.
by that. They'll just disappear,
Right.
and and so it's really important for people to discover their own authentic way of marketing, and no two people are going to do it alike. Um, so um, well, I'll give an example.
Well, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. I just want to interject. I think that's beautiful because a lot of people don't say that. They look at it as like a checklist,
Mm.
but I love you're giving people permission to discover, like who they are and then be able to accurately represent that. So sorry to interrupt, but I thought that was
That's fine. This is free flowing conversation here. So yeah, and I'm going to give an example of like say there are two people who graduate. I'm going to use a massage school because it's nice and concrete. Everybody knows what massage is, right? Massage is one of the easiest things to market. Early in my career, before I did the brain rewiring work, I was a massage therapist in private practice for 6 years. It was fabulous, and it was so easy to market. I didn't even know about marketing then. But people know what it is. But if you get two people who came from the same massage school, identical training, this one will have a massage business that is nurturing and soothing and quiet. And this one will have a massage business that's more athletic and vigorous. And they'll set up their offices, their branding will be different, um, because it has to be authentic to their style. And the right people will find them, and they can both thrive just following what's natural for them, and some good business practices and some structure too. It takes more than just passion. Sometimes people think, if you build it, they will come. And yeah, if you don't build it, then they can't come. So you do have to build it. Um, but it has to be a combination of the passion and the structure.
well, you attract your ideal clients, right? When you're clear, they come and it's not prohibitive. It doesn't, push other people away. It'll bring more people, but the clarity, I think, is the operative word, don't you think?
Yes, and sometimes people are afraid to choose a niche, a market niche, because they think it will leave people out. And actually, as long as your niche isn't really something very off the wall, you'll do better. You will attract more people because they'll know, like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. instead of you blending into the wallpaper with 100 other people who say the same things you're saying.
So basically what you're saying is vertical marketing is a good thing, right?
It's a good
Having
thing.
having a clear vertical market is important, and then but it doesn't exclude, building a horizontal market as well and being more inclusive.
People will still ask you, oh, you specialize in working with children. Well, would you work with adults too? Because we really like your stuff. You don't have to worry about
Yes,
it.
I love that. That's great to have everybody to have us remember. So as we get, kind of going with this conversation, I think it's also important to just define what marketing is, how you define marketing. Basically my experience is that a lot of people, like we talked about, we're just discussing, they collapse marketing and sales. So can you help distinguish that for us?
So marketing is more positioning and preparing for the sale. The sale is the conversation that happens after you've organized, like, who am I? What's my purpose? What's my niche? What am I about? What do I offer? What problems do I solve? And then how do I make all of that visible? Because if you're a service business, most of the people I work with are service providers of one form or another. Even the corporate people, what they provide is a service. And you have to make it tangible. And so your branding and packaging and the language you choose and the images you choose, that is all part of making it tangible so people can see. This is all like the preparation for the party. And then the sales conversation is the party itself. But you need to be prepared ahead of time. And then people can say yes or no. You just like, it's why it's called an offer. It's not called the push, it's called the offer.
Oh, I love that. Preparing for the party. That's fun. Because the way you prepare is you're preparing for a certain audience, right? Or a certain community, a certain group. You're meeting their needs, you're
Right.
thinking of them. Okay, so that leads us to, aren't there different ways or approaches of marketing? You kind of
There are
alluded.
lots of approaches, and they basically, yeah, but they basically fall into old style marketing, which is the pushy salesy, and you still see people doing that. And they kind of don't know any better, right? And even you see it in the way they set up their signature talk when they do public speaking or whatever. The old style is, I'm this person. I went to Yale, then I went to Harvard, then I did this, then I did that, and the listener is waiting, like, please share, what's the benefit to me? I don't know what you're about, and I really don't care about your credentials until I know who you are and if we have a connection. And so that's not salesy or pushy, but it's kind of part of the old paradigm we all grew up with. And the new style is respectful, it's information based, it's again, to go back to the party analogy, you prepare a party, you make the food beautiful, and then when people show up, they say yes or no. You don't say, hey Tom, you look a little pale today, I think you really need to have this sandwich. It's like, if he wants the sandwich, there it is, he can choose. So it's just information, it's just sharing, it's service oriented. And people use a lot of different words like holistic or education based, but for me, I like the words authentic because it's very individual and
Yes.
heart based, because that's what keeps you going. Business isn't always easy, but if you care about it, it becomes a lot easier.
Yes, I love that. And it reminds me of a saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? And that's really the, the saying that reminds me of the distinction you're making between old style and new style and being more respectful and everything. I think that's kind of what we've evolved to as a society, don't you think? That we're more open to and looking for ways that people can show that they care. And those are the people we want to work with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's human nature to want to care and connect. And people kind of feel like they're supposed to be all professional and actually come across very academic, which is a turnoff. And so the really good news is that by getting back to your more natural way of marketing, it's easier for you and it's more wonderful for your clients and your potential clients. So it's just everybody wins.
I love this exploration we're on and just really peeling back the onion and taking a look at really what marketing is and identifying the purpose of marketing, which is going to be different depending on your audience, right? Because you want to attract your ideal audience, but it's not inclusive, as we mentioned earlier. So share with us more about, um, you know, market frequency, or, just how that works.
Well, I want to just give some examples of marketing that people don't think of as marketing usually, but parents market all the time. And then an example that I like to use is a parent will say to a child, if you get your teeth brushed by 8:30, we can have a story. I'll read you a story. Well, they've made an offer. They've just made an offer. And the child can get their teeth brushed right away, or the child can delay and just go, I don't care that much about a story. And they're saying no, basically, to the offer. But that's marketing, but the benefit, you're showing the benefit. Marketing is all about making an offer and showing the benefit. And the benefit here is you get a story. Or if I say, hey, Cyndi, I just saw the greatest movie and I think you'd love it. You want to go see it together? I'm making an offer to her. And she can say, oh, I already saw it. She can say yes or no. But I'm just saying the benefit is I think you'd really like it. Okay, so that's marketing. It's very simple. And people think it's persuading or pushing or tricking people. No, it's not. Not the way I do it. I really can't tolerate that kind of marketing.
But you also have to know what will incentivize your audience, right?
Right. And
So
you have to be willing to hear no.
yes, exactly. And that's how we learn things from the no's. We learn what our audience doesn't want. So if our kids say or our grandkids say no, it's like, okay, that doesn't motivate that kid. I need to find something that's going to be and something that's going to capture their imagination and have them want to, see through whatever you've asked them and have it actually be a benefit to them.
Yes, absolutely. And our clients are training us all the time. We get advanced training from our clients. If we listen, they're telling us what they need. And sometimes with, our expertise, we can see what they need before they do. But if they're not ready for it, if it's not what they want, they get to say yes or no. And so we need to listen to what they want. And maybe as trust builds, they might become open to some other suggestions. But trust has to be earned. You can't, I hear political advertising now talking about we need to build trust. It's like, show that you're trustworthy is how you build trust,
Right.
And it's not about persuading people. It's just, you've got to earn it.
Right. People don't like to feel like you're doing it for a purpose, for an end result. It's just worthy of trust, like you say. It's something that happens over time that you have to earn the right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and to show the value. Bottom
Show
line,
the value, earn the right. Yes.
the value often of something that's intangible. You're making it tangible somehow. And the biggest mistake people use with that is they start getting into really fancy academic language. And again, even in politics, sometimes somebody prevails because they're using plain English, whereas somebody who's really better, smarter, more ethical or whatever might be just using academic language and people can't relate to it. Same in marketing. That is the biggest mistake that I see. People are like too well educated to their own detriment almost. So people don't want to be impressed as much as they want to connect with you.
Yes. Yes. A saying is you don't want to be interesting. You don't want to be let's see, it's more important to be interested than interesting. Right.
That's right.
And so that applies. And I love your analogy of, as a child, like the way we relate to our kids when we're raising them, we're really kind of teaching them how to, it's not about bribery. It's about how to respond to offers. I love the way you said that.
Mm-hmm. And negotiation. Negotiation is a fabulous skill.
It is.
And so many people don't negotiate. They give up. It's, win-lose. It's like, no. There is no win-lose. It doesn't exist. if anybody loses, everybody is going to lose eventually. I feel really passionate about that, in case you can't tell.
No, I love that. And kids are master negotiators.
Well,
I have some grandkids that, oh my gosh, they're being raised to be probably future lawyers or something. They just,
Mhm.
it's interesting how their little brains work.
Yeah, and I really believe that if you hang in there and look at the essence of what each person's need or request, that usually you will find a good solution. But
So,
if you think it's win-lose, then
yes,
you won't.
yes. And so let's again, pull back the onion a little bit and talk about the purpose of marketing more. And because you've alluded to it a couple of times, but I think it bears repeating in terms of the old style marketing and then authentic marketing.
Okay. So basically, bottom line, purpose of marketing is to show the value so people can say yes or no. And if people are confused, you're going to get a no. The confused mind doesn't buy, right? And there's all this research about give people 3 choices. If you give them 4 or 5 choices, suddenly that's too much and nothing good is going to come of that.
You need to say that again, because
Okay.
I think that is so important. So a confused mind says no. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Mhm,
Giving people too many choices
mhm.
actually causes people to not make any choices, right?
It does. And I'm just going to do a little side trip into branding too, which is also dear to my heart. When people stand up at a network meeting and they say, I do this, I do this, but I also do this and this and this and this. People can't remember all of that, and they might not remember any of it. I have a good friend who's an amazing musician. He went to LA to make his fortune in the world. And he came back and he said, you know what I found out? And he says, I am a songwriter, singer, songwriter, piano player. I play all these instruments. He says, nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear that you're a unicyclist who plays the kazoo. It's very, again, back to the tight niche, very specific. And so when they need somebody like that, they'll call you. Otherwise, they'll never call you at all because they don't remember anything about you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
you're painting a picture too.
you're painting, yeah, you will want to paint a good picture too. So, and then the 2 big categories, like old style marketing is fear-based and feels bad and it doesn't work. And authentic marketing is service-based and it's respectful and it feels good. In fact, I got invited to China on the basis of this topic. That I
Mm-hmm.
was speaking at can I share this
Yeah,
story?
please do.
Okay. So I was speaking at a conference in Germany, and one of the people in the audience had a really big smile on his face. And afterwards he said, I need to talk to you. I want to invite you to come and do a training at my training center in Hong Kong. And he said, and I want you to speak also at our conference. And I would like you to speak on love-based marketing versus fear-based marketing. He says, because that's what you do. And I went. That was last year, fortunately, before COVID, a year before COVID, and it was a fabulous trip. Beautiful, beautiful people. Oh my gosh, the government may not be so great, but the people are beautiful. And they were so receptive, and they got it. They really just got it. Anyway,
Tell me, I've heard this story a couple of times and I've always wanted to ask you this, so I'll take the time right now. So what were you talking about that had that gentleman specifically request love-based marketing versus fear-based marketing? Was that your topic?
no, actually, it wasn't. I was speaking on sacred money archetypes and going beyond the glass ceiling, is what I was speaking about in Germany at the conference. And in the process, you know um, how everything is connected to everything. And I must have made some reference to branding and marketing and authentic marketing from the heart. And he just got it, just like hit him, and he said, this is what I need to bring to China. And so somehow when I have thought about calling my business a mosaic, because I teach pieces, I do different modules that I teach my clients, whether it's in the group coaching or the private business coaching. I'll teach these modules, and along about the 4th or 5th session, they'll say, all these pieces fit together.
For the concept.
I said, yeah, I know. They did it for, on purpose. And
Love it.
and they're just delighted because they go, I can do this. I can work with this. And if you teach, I have taken other business coaching courses from time to time just to kind of see what other people are doing. And they're almost always taught in a linear fashion. And I just can't stand it. I just can't, be in that kind of a training anymore because that's not how people interact. It's much more organic than that. But
Well,
you just have
as you're sharing it, it reminds me of a puzzle. So you're giving people, excuse me, you're giving people pieces of the puzzle. So
Mhm.
it is integrated and you see it, when it's all put together. But you're right. It's not like, okay, piece one, then piece two, then piece three. It's just, it all comes together very homogeneously. But it takes time, right? For the
Well,
picture.
yes, and you do have to break things down into like bite-sized pieces so people can master and feel successful at each little chunk.
Yes.
It reminds me of Gaudi's gardens in Spain, how they're made out of all kinds of little pieces of ceramics and such. Um, oh, there's something else I was going to say about that. Yeah, okay. So when typically, if you take like a traditional, okay, one of my clients showed me, she said, before I met you, I took this training program and she showed me, it was like a small telephone book. And she had a marker in about 10, 15 pages in. And she said, and that's where I stopped. And I said, why did you stop? Because the manual is beautiful from an academic point of view, meticulous. And she said, I couldn't stand it anymore. It was very linear left brain. There was no heart. And a lot of them say, okay, I need a business card and a website. And I just go, wait a minute, you skipped step one. You don't know who you are yet. You haven't clarified, and some people do, but they need to clarify it and language it because that's going to be the foundation that everything else is built on. Or you're going to end up building a business that you think you should, or somebody else thinks is a good idea. And it will take so much more of your energy.
Mm. So the thought comes to me that some people might feel like they're allergic to marketing. Is that something that you found is true in the marketplace?
Yes, I run into that. People have like a physical reaction to the whole idea of marketing. And
Why?
well, it's because that when they hear the word marketing, it's like a lot of people have a physical reaction to the word exercise.
Mm,
You think you should exercise, and people are like, "Oh, that sounds like taking medicine," and it's because of our early associations.
okay.
So it's the same kind of a thing. But I'll give you another example. How are we doing? Okay for time, Cyndi?
Oh, we're great.
Okay. Um, that somebody shared with me that she was at a party and a well-to-do person said, "Oh, so what do you charge?" And the person sharing with me said, "Oh, I charge this, but I'll do it for less." And she said, "I can't believe that stuff even came out of my mouth."
Right.
She said, "I was so shocked. I didn't know that I had that sense of unworthiness or whatever it was in there." So people have these layers of unconscious things that are running their business, they're running their marketing, and it makes them physically hold back at the idea of speaking to a group. Speaking to a group is one of the most love-based experiences you can have. And anybody, once they have that experience of standing in front of an audience and you feel the love shared back and forth, you want to do it again. It's the most wonderful feeling. But public speaking is one of the biggest fears that people have. Actually, Hans Selye, the Swiss psychologist, I believe, a researcher, he rated people's fears. And nuclear war was like number two. Public speaking was number one. And that's because they're thinking of old style public speaking, the old academic system where you were being judged and punished. And, it's like there's so much of that in our bodies all over the world. So I've worked in enough different cultures now in Latin America and Europe and Canada, which is slightly different culture, and China. And the issues are the same everywhere. It's like Oh, I don't want to be judged and punished. This isn't safe. Oh my gosh, it's such a wonderful place to be connecting with people heart to heart like that. Marketing is and speaking, marketing and speaking, same. You're serving.
Yes. Yes, you're not going to get tomatoes thrown at you like in Shakespearean days.
Yeah, pretty. I've never actually heard of that happening these days.
No, no, not these days, but yeah, you feel very vulnerable. So that's for sure.
But
So
that gets taken care of by everything we've already talked about. It gets taken care of by making sure that you're doing the work of your heart, you're on track with your life purpose, that you build your whole business aligned with that, and that you're prepared. And then it's just a joy.
that's really wonderful encouragement to people who are reticent of being, in front of a group and being able to share. And
Mhm.
so right now, we have in lieu of live events, we do the Zoom calls, right? And it feels it feels a little more intimate, but at the same time, if you have 50 people on the Zoom call, it could be the same experience.
Mhm.
So I think that's wonderful that you be able to create that distinction in terms of, if you've done the groundwork, if you've created the foundation for your marketing, then there's no need to be able to feel as vulnerable, right?
Yes, and you have to like think about it. The people are there because they think they're going to like you, and they think they want to spend this time with you, and they want you to succeed. They want you to do well. They want it to be a nice experience. They're not there to judge you. And
And
but
you're there to offer value too, right?
I-
That's your,
yeah,
on the
that's
flip side,
yeah.
your intention is to be able to offer value to them.
They intend to. They're there to benefit from it.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you're there for the same reason. You're on the same page. Yeah.
Beautiful. So what are some, am I jumping ahead if I ask you what are some false beliefs about marketing?
Sure, and we kind of covered it before, but I kind of want to weave it in as we go along. Some things are worth saying more than once, and some of the biggest false belief about marketing. Okay, I met somebody at a social event, and she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a business coach," and she said, "Oh, isn't that really aggressive?" And an aggressive field, and I said, "No, where did you get that idea?" And she just said, "Oh, I just always thought it was." And so it's good for me to hear these things from people. And some of them are like buried a couple layers down, like the woman who offered to discount her own rate before the other person even questioned it. And the other person wasn't going to question it, right? These are kind of like, instead of what buried treasure, they're like buried trauma or something. So they think that in order to make a sale, you have to trick people, you have to be dishonest, you have to promise things that you can't deliver. No, no. Or sometimes people feel like they don't know enough, or that nobody wants what they've got. Like, oh, I don't know enough. It's like you're so used to what you know that probably you take it for granted. So again, that's why working with a coach is so valuable. Is that you need a perspective, you need an outside point of view to help you see these things and notice, like, do you know what's running you right now is this old belief from the fourth grade book report in front of class, right? And so let's reframe that. Let's change your brain. Let's rewire that experience so that you're ready for a whole new way of being able to market in a way that feels more like you. I mean, one of the best compliments I ever got from one of my clients is a thank you card just saying, "Thank you for helping me become more and more my own true self."
Hmm.
I just thought, there it is. That's why I do this.
Yes, that's a beautiful acknowledgement. And so, there are things that hold people back from marketing their business. And you mentioned, the feeling of, they don't want to be tricked and they feel like people are dishonest. But, what holds an individual back from marketing their business? Do you have two or three things that are
Mhm.
kind of like the pillars that you've discovered?
Sure. So in addition to all the mindset and the inner rewiring and all of that, um, you need a plan and a pathway and a structure that fits for you. And you need I mean, people just don't build businesses without a coach at some point along the way. And the other thing is that you need, the lack of a plan can hold people back. And without a clear plan, you're just going to waste a lot of time, because often the skill, the thing you want to sell, your service, is a completely different skill set from running a business, right? Okay. And then lack of confidence goes along with that. Usually the lack of confidence is because you don't have the plan and you don't have the proper skill set. And you also don't have, you have a lack of support. You don't have a coach and or a community. Ideally you want both. um, it'll stop you, because building a business brings up all of your stuff. It will challenge every bit of your sense of self-worth and trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, which, by the way, I think intuition is hugely important. Business is a lot more work if you don't use your intuition. Everything's going to take twice as long. And so people just don't do it on their own. They give up and go get a job. So
intuition is a lot like a compass, isn't it? When you're running your own business.
yes, and most people, if they stop to think about it, they can come up with examples in their life of times when their gut told them something and they went against it, or something comes out of their mouth. Um, um, Actually, back in 9/11, when 9/11 happened, a few weeks before that, I was on the phone with a client making an appointment for her. And she said, well, I'm gonna be out of town, but I'll be back on September 11th, and we can do it then. And just out of my mouth came, you're not coming back that day. And
Really?
I am not in the habit of doing predictions like that. I don't do that. I just, it just some part of me could like feel that date and feel the energy around the date. We all have this capability, but if you cultivate it, it becomes clearer and more powerful and reliable. And I trust it. When that happened, and then I saw what turned out, another notch up in trusting.
Right,
you know,
right. But no, but I love that, because even if we don't get it right, if we can go back and reflect on the feeling that we had, our gut instinct, I think that can be a wonderful guidance for the future. But we have to pay attention.
I love that you said that too, because I think sometimes we learn a lot from our mistakes.
Yes.
Or I and now I say it, you ignore your intuition at your own peril. But I
Yes.
think people share stories like, I was walking down the aisle at my own wedding, and I knew in that moment, like, this is a big mistake. Why
Mm,
didn't I listen to myself?
yes.
Mhm.
Well, and that's a lesson right there. Listen to yourself, pay attention, honor your intuition. I love the three-legged stool. So those are really worthy of repeating. So what holds us back a lot of times that you're sharing is lack of a plan, lack of confidence, and lack of support. I think that's really beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm.
So in the interest of time, we're at the 12:45. We want to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So share with us, a little bit more about your passion, life purpose, change maker blind spots. And then we'll be opening up for a conversation with our listeners and Q&A in just a moment.
Great. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think you can tell by now that catalyzing change makers, I mean, that I'm called the change maker catalyst, because that's what I do. People are plodding along, developing their business kind of by hit and miss. And I really can, I love to catalyze that. And the thing about change makers is that they have a blind spot that they don't, of course, don't know about. We don't know our blind spots, is that they're not primarily money motivated. They're motivated by their mission, their purpose. And and so frequently I find that they are neglecting the administration. Some of you who work with in business coaching know what I'm talking about. They may neglect their administration. They may neglect their money management. They may neglect tracking their numbers or charging enough or being comfortable with money conversations. And so that's their occupational hazard. It really has to be structured in to have a way of dealing with that and provide those missing pieces. And so, let's see, what else was I supposed to cover? Yeah, okay, so this could be a real problem because sometimes they're not making enough money to stay in business. I can think of so many worthy causes. Gosh, I know someone who's doing a beautiful nonprofit. Really, I don't want to get too detailed, but beautiful nonprofit that people are benefiting from. And somebody hosted a fundraiser for this person, and they were so uncomfortable with the whole money conversation that they could hardly stand to approach people who were there with their checkbook, wanting to give money to this wonderful cause. And the change maker could just hardly bring himself to accept money because his unconscious money beliefs, he didn't even know they were there, showed up and held him back big time. So
That would definitely be an occupational hazard for a nonprofit.
for nonprofit, yeah, and for-profit entrepreneurs.
Business, or for-profit businesses as well. You
Yeah,
have to really know your value and be comfortable charging enough.
yeah, and not switch off your brain when somebody wants to hand you a check or a Visa number. So yeah.
So one thing we talked about in prepping for this call that I thought was really intriguing, I think it would be a wonderful thing to leave our listeners with is, you talk about a hope and a prayer approach. And how does that, talk to us about what you mean by that.
Well, okay, so if you don't have a plan and a pathway and a business structure and a coach and really an aligned business aligned with your life purpose and all of these pieces, what you're left with is hope and pray marketing, which means no marketing plan at all. Somebody says you might as well drive down the street and throw money out the window of your car. That hope and pray just is a mess. And it always reminds me of high school, where the girl is sitting by the phone. This is the old days. It's not this way anymore with kids, but the girl sitting by the phone hoping the guy's going to call her. Well, that's completely disempowering for her, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs are the same way. They're just hoping the phone's going to ring, hoping somebody's going to find you and show up. And because I built it, but they don't come. Well, you didn't build all of it, right? And so the opposite of hope and pray is, hope is great. Hope is a great thing, and pray is a great thing, but it's not a good marketing strategy. And so the opposite of that is to actually have a plan and a pathway that's built for you. And you cannot hire out your marketing because it will never feel like you. It will feel like whoever wrote it for you. Occasionally, okay, and I'll tell you, I've been doing this a lot of years and spent a lot of money, especially in the early days before I was a business coach, hiring people to market for me, to write marketing. And it was always like professional, and it just never felt like me. It never did it was a waste of money, basically. And you can learn to do your own marketing. And then of course work with a graphic artist or somebody who knows how to build websites and make them look nice. But the core piece has to come from your essence.
Well, I love that you're saying that because that's really encouraging that, the time you spend getting clear is well spent, right? Getting
Yes.
in touch with your heart, who you are, what's important to you, what is your message, what is your the value you want to offer the community and the world. All that's well spent time.
It's essential because without it, people have dreams and they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they're not seeing. And you need somebody besides your lovely Aunt Susan to challenge you and to ask you the tough questions and to get your feet a little closer to the ground. Because, it is a whole different kind of, some people specialize in business and they love business and they love numbers and accounting. And bless them, I really benefit from having some of them in my life. But being a change maker is a really different kind of person. they're wired differently, their brain works differently, and they can ignore. One person said, I really need a session with you. I need to work with you. I haven't opened my mail in 6 months. And I said,
Right.
I'm sure you're exaggerating. She goes, no, here's a stack of envelopes. And she said, "Oh, a lot of them are from the IRS. She
Yeah.
was a change maker, did not know how to run a business.
Yeah.
And it was
Well,
about to put her out of business. So
yeah, it sounds people respond differently when they're overwhelmed.
yeah,
They
yeah.
get shut down. And
Mhm,
so I love your perspective. So, just as we landing the plane here and bringing things home. So
mhm.
what is your perspective on, emulating other people's business strategies? Because we're talking about getting clear on who you are and what your essence is. So you got to be careful, right? But at the same time, can that be a value to be able to observe what other people are doing?
Oh, absolutely. You want to you know, I love looking at other people's brandings. I cannot go out to eat without noticing the door handle is off brand for this restaurant, right? Or the music they're playing is off brand for this restaurant, or it's beautifully on brand. I just love coming here because of the whole experience that I get.
The
And
synergistic, right?
yeah,
Synergistic.
yeah. I mean, like a really beautiful Asian restaurant should have a beautiful curved door handle and not like a mid-century modern door handle kind of thing. It just doesn't match. And so take it all in. The whole world is constantly teaching you about marketing. Every television commercial can teach you about marketing. At the end, you remember the cute puppies and the little girl. What was the product? That was a waste of money, wasn't it? Fun, but it was a waste of money. And so the whole world is constantly teaching us how to market well or badly, what not to do. And so take it all in, but then you need to create your own. You can't copy anybody else. It will never feel like you.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, and this is appropriate for this time of year with, making Christmas cookies and all, but our businesses are not cookie cutter, right? We need to tailor our businesses and our business strategies to support the model that we've created, our own personality. And it needs to, again, be all very synergistic.
Yes, yes, it's really true. And I find out that even though every business, like if you take, I live really close to a naturopathic college, and so I get people from that location. And if 100 people graduate in the same class, they've had really similar training, they're going to put together 100 different kinds of businesses, different specialties, different branding, different look and feel, different colors, all that. And they'll attract different people. So there's really no competition, right? And they will have certain things. If they're successful, they'll have certain things in common. So the essentials of anybody's, what I think, authentic marketing plan would be that it has to start with your inner knowledge, self-knowledge, and it has to be a reflection of you. It needs structured steps that create a tangible value and that you can show the value. You have to have a way of measuring your progress. So they call it metrics and practical results. And you can get 1,000 or 10,000 Facebook likes, but if you don't get any clients who sign up and pay you, that's a waste of time and a waste of money, right? You have to measure your results. I have people graph, we call it the mountain graph, because it shows their progress and their ups and downs. You need a proven structure because that creates safety and a way of prioritizing what you're going to do when. And also when you do something well, when you create a structure for a right brain, creative visionary, and we create a way of accounting that they actually feel good with, they'll use it. But if we create a left brain system for them to do their accounting, they'll never use it. And so it gets really creative, like, okay, how are we going to do this? Right.
Mhm.
And they'll feel good about it. I mean, sometimes they just burst into laughter, like, I could do accounting. This is so cool. And you need a coach. You really, I just don't see people ever doing it by them. You know, the biggest corporations, they don't do it by themselves. Nobody does it. The Olympic athletes don't do it by themselves. You need a coach in the community to cheer you on, and to not take advice from every Tom, Dick, and Harry who knows nothing about building a business. You know, people in your life love you, but they don't really know about your business. So, and intuition. I'm just going to come back to intuition again. It's an essential business tool.
Wow, all beautiful things. So thank you for tying a bow around all the different essential components of authentic marketing plan, and just kind of put a bow around it for us right now in terms of once you have all these pieces in place, you know, what is the experience that you want to leave our listeners with?
So I want to just take you into your imagination of how good it could feel to love marketing as much as you love the best parts of your business when you're actually with your clients. And that for you to like feel that in your body. And to me, it feels like expansion. It feels like fresh air. It feels like freedom. It feels like space, and it feels effortless. And when I get an opportunity to speak to an audience, that's what happens in my body. And so if you could just imagine that for a moment, just go into your body and feel that expansion. And at this point in time, there will come a time when you can do live audiences again if you want, but feel it on Zoom, feel it on podcasts. Like that is the potential. And to be on a podcast or a Zoom with people who love you, they're listening, they're smiling, they're nodding, you feel the connection. You'll get more positive responses when you say what you do. You'll feel comfortable saying what you do. You'll have enough clients. You'll have enough income. Having enough income feels wonderful. And especially when you're doing it by being yourself. What a revelation. What a revelation. Were you ever told that in high school or college? No. Well, I never was. And to get paid what you're worth, to people just go, here's a check. I remember early on, somebody wrote me a check and he gave me a $200 tip.
Wow.
That felt pretty good.
Yes.
That felt, like I must be doing something right, and really seriously, to love marketing as much as any other part of your work.
Oh, thank you for reminding us of the power of imagining, because to be able to have that visual, right, in our brains, to be able to motivate us, to help us to have that clarity and get in tune with our gut, our intuition is so important. There's the checklist, of course, there's the plan and the confidence and the support. But overarching all of that is just being able to imagine what you want for your business and get that clarity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. And we talked about like what would be something that I could offer your community. And I have a lot of things that I could have offered. And, sometimes I'll offer a workshop or a webinar or, private, mini coaching with me or something like that. And I just kept coming back to like, at this point in time, with what's going on in the world, what is the most value that I can offer your community is the ebook about intuition. And it's that's the cover. And so intuition, your hidden business superpower. Can you see it?
Yes, and it's beautiful, and that's perfect. And thank you so much for such a generous gift. So for our listeners, for them to get your access to your ebook, they would go to roseharrow.com/intuition. You had it on your sheet there, but I want to make sure that people can catch that. And then I'll add that to this description of this this episode as well. Or if they want to contact you and learn more, they can go to rose@roseharrow.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you. We're going to go ahead and open up here. Our conversation went a little bit long, but you gave such great information. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and open our call. Anybody that has any questions or they want to just enter into our conversation, we'd love to invite you. And so this is the time. We've got just a few minutes here.
Okay. Well, I would like to say to Rose, a really good presentation. I really didn't appreciate what you did until this conversation today. So now I really have a great insight into how heartfelt your passion is about really helping people. So what I got a lot of notes here of things that I thought of as you were talking. And so what I found is I really liked your story about the lady who was in the company that kept getting bought out, and people were leaving, but she stayed. And so what struck me about that was that, people can lead from the middle. But people think they're powerless, and they're not. And it connects to me to your fear-based marketing concept. They both, in this case, people leaving and fear-based marketing deal with lack of, and I think so what connects those two stories and makes a powerful statement to people in my book is that this lady's leading from the middle, and people buying into fear-based marketing. These people are living in the world of lack, but when what the results happen when they lead heartfelt with abundance in mind. And that really, I think, is a turning point in both these examples, because fear-based marketing doesn't work, as you said. But if people think about abundance, then it does work. And just like the lady who stayed with the company, everybody's leaving, the people leaving were a lack of, but she was thinking of abundance. And I think that's maybe what I'm getting from the heart-centered marketing.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so beautiful, Chuck. Yeah. And she knew what she wanted. She knew what she wanted. She wanted to stay. And she was able to imagine, even if she couldn't see the pathway, she was able to imagine there is a way. There can be a way.
Yeah. Abundance, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think that's really powerful, the kind of concept that you're delivering to your clients.
Thank you, Chuck.
Well, I also want to mention that Chuck, on the chat line, he mentioned leading by example builds trust. And that's so true. It's important for us to do that and be the example for others. Again, whether you're leading from the front or leading from the middle, right, doesn't really matter. To just be that sense of stability in an organization, and and that's where the trust comes from. It comes from consistency, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
I think sometimes you can lead from the back too. I have a friend who was in Vietnam who led from the back, and he was in a platoon, and his intuition said, we're gonna get shelled right where we are. Our orders are to do this, and my gut tells me we got to get out of here and do this. And he did. He said, this feels bad to me. I'm leaving. Anybody who wants to come with me, come. And they lived.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was like, 19 or 20 years old at the time.
Yeah. That's a powerful story. And again, it's a story of your intuition. He was listening to his gut. That's a tricky one when you're in a military situation, right?
Just obeying orders and life and death stakes, Well, see, that's it too. And, when they interview victims of violent crime or any kind of crime, but, crime where there's a person involved, and they interview people because they say, well, tell us the setup, what happened. And the victim very often says, I knew better. I knew not to go there, not to walk there, not to talk to this person. Why didn't I listen to myself? So, the stakes can be significant.
Well, they can. And one thing, Rose, you and I spoke about when we were prepping for this call also is that sometimes we learn from our mistakes. And so it's okay to get, kind of give ourselves permission, especially when you're growing up and younger, to not honor your gut, because then you can remember, okay, hindsight's 2020. I see it clearly now, and that can be something that can lead you in the future. And so again, all of those experiences help form us.
And that's why it's important to just not say vaguely like, oh, well, I'm intuitive. You need it's important to use it all the time, to implement it all the time, use it in everything. Like, which way should I drive home from the store? And it, maybe doesn't matter, but I've had amazing, interesting experiences just going, doesn't make any logical sense, but I think I'm supposed to go this way. And
Right.
something interesting happens, or maybe there's a roadblock in this other way that I didn't even know about.
Right.
There's so much information coming to us all the time that we don't give ourselves credit for.
Well, there's the honoring your intuition and then honing your intuition, right?
Thank you.
Using that muscle to dial in that muscle so that it gets stronger. So I love that analogy. So any other insights? I know that Gail said on the chat line, I love everything you're saying. It all fits with me. Wow.
Thank you, Gail. That's wonderful to hear.
That's beautiful that resonated.
Do you want to say anything more about how it fits with you? Do we have time for that, Cyndi?
We have a moment if she'd like to add. She'd like to unmute herself. Let me see if I can mute. So you're going to have to unmute yourself, Gail. We can't hear you.
I know. I'm here. I just loved all the examples. I loved everything that you said. Just it resonated. Oh my gosh, let's see. The new style of marketing, authenticity. I love the making an offer. A lot of times in network marketing, we hear the closing instead of offering. I love the example about the children, giving them an offer, which teaches them how to think on their own, and also teaches them consequences. And I mean, just everything you said, it just resonated with me so strongly. And I just really appreciated it. And thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Well, those are wonderful words to end our conversation with. Thank you so much, Rose, for generously being on our spotlight speaker for our December event, as well as taking on being on this conversation with us today. So I just want to offer any parting words that you have for our community that you want to share.
So yeah, just to remember that it's possible, that you really can have this new level of freedom, and especially again about the intuition. It's like if you cultivate your intuition, it'll be your best guide, because really we're off the map. We as a world are off the edge of the map now. Things are happening that have never happened before, and the world defies logic. So there's a lot of confusion about which facts are really facts, and your intuition can guide you through this kind of thing. It'll be your best guide through this time. So,
oh my goodness, the world defies logic.
Yeah.
That is something I'm going to be chewing on for a while now. That is so true and so beautiful. So well, thank you, Rose. We appreciate you. You just a breath of fresh air, and we both got the red memo today.
Yes.
So I'm on brand, and you came on brand for Exceptional Connections as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody, and
Bye.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.